Hi everyone, welcome to another core unit Launchpad sessions. Today we're at number 18. My name is Juan, I'm the facilitator from the Sustainable Ecosystem Scaling Core Unit here at Maker. I'm joined by a bunch of people interested in everything core unit related apparently. Today we are with the team, or the to-be team from MakerLabs, which is a very, very interesting core unit. I don't want to give anything away or steal anyone's thunder, but Colin, Adam, and Ultra Shuppy will be telling us what's all this about. Tim, if you want to take it away.
Sure. So let me quickly try to get this setup running again. Okay, so yeah, hi everybody, and thanks for joining today's session about MakerLabs. My name is Tim, or I'm also running under the call sign of Ultra Shuppy in the forum, and I'm going to be the core unit facilitator of this core unit if everything went well. I have no idea if this is going to happen. It's probably up to Planet X if this is working out or not. So in a nutshell, MakerLabs is basically about implementing new product ideas. So coming up with an idea and bring this to an MVP. So what's happening here? You're taking care of this one, right? Yeah. Yeah, so basically build something that is viable enough to find out if it actually has product market fit or not. And we are going to cover the full technology stack engineering-wise, from smart contracts to basically the user-facing front ends that are needed. This is, yeah, in a nutshell, what we want to do here. Yeah, so this is the team. I'm the guy on the left with the bad hair. Colin's the one with the beard, and yeah, the lefty on the right side of the picture, that's Adam. You can already see that, yeah, we are already pretty committed about the whole mission. But I give a brief intro about us and the history we had so far. So we met first in 2001 when I basically had the chance to bootstrap my own first team, which was kind of a spin-off from the last team I was leading. And Adam and Colin were one of the first hires I had, and it was really a really fun ride. And yeah, it was pretty sad that after a year or so, Colin left to build up his own startup. But nevertheless, some years later, we never lost contact. And some years later, Colin introduced Adam and me to the Ethereum world, and even tried to lure us into buying some ETH, which we did a year later, which was probably a bad idea. We should have done it basically by the time Colin pitched it to us. But around that time, we found out that it's the right time to team up again and basically start working as a group again. We found out that it's really hard to get hired as a team, but eventually we made it to SICK, which is a very traditional German hardware engineering company, to basically build up their cloud or industrial IoT branch. That was really fun because, yeah, we did again this bootstrapping thing, and we found out, well, this is really cool. We are doing it a second time now. That's really great. And yeah, during this time when we all went into Ethereum, we also had the idea of building something like Dropbox, but decentralized. We called it Sharu, which had the slogan, "Finally, your data is Safu." It was running on IPFS and Ethereum, and yeah, it didn't work. We ran into major difficulties with IPFS, basically destroying our routers at home. So we ditched the project, but nevertheless, we had our first exposure to Ethereum as a programmable blockchain and writing Solidity. That was really fun. Yeah, and basically 2 years later, so I think it was the end of 2018, we got a call from Camunda, which is a software company in Berlin. I think nobody knows them, but they're growing as hell. And yeah, we basically were asked if we want to do the same thing. So basically building up their cloud product, or bootstrap the cloud product and cloud team, which we are doing. Or we basically finished that. We went live a couple of months before. And the mission of bringing this to product market fit and finding out if this is actually working or not, yeah, is done. So our mission of bootstrapping something is done here. Yeah, so myself, I started as a software engineer in 2001. basically as a small software engineer in the company that later got bought by 1&1. I think I'm a good case of the Peter principle. I bubbled up the career ladder a couple of times until I was just not having any fun anymore. And at some point, I just realized that I want to do both things, not only talking, but also, providing value, building something. And around this time, I had the good luck that both Colin and Adam had the same feeling. And we decided to just, go all in on bootstrapping. By the time I joined SIG and got exposure to Ethereum, I was getting in contact with the Maker ecosystem and found it very interesting. So I minted some DAI, some Psi by the time. I think in the beginning of 2018, I bought some first MKR tokens. I even did some liquidations. I joined the Rocket Chat and stayed there for 2 years, not saying anything. And I guess about a year ago, I decided to step up and basically join as an active member of the MakerDAO community. So maybe, Colin, you want to say some words about yourself?
Yeah, hi, my name is Colin. So my gateway drug to programming was basically 20 years ago, modding for Half-Life and Quake 3 Arena. I learned quite a lot, but eventually this stepping stone into professional software engineering was after I did university and my master's. And then basically the story that Tim told, he hired me, and since then, software engineer by heart. And I love what I'm doing. After I left 1&1, it's not that correct that I directly started my blockchain startup, but first I did a consulting job for a very big consulting company and was working for the German Football Association and all the stuff. And then I found like a guy that was also into blockchain technology. I think it was 2015. And then we decided to want to do a startup together, and we basically had this idea to provide payment terminals using Bitcoin for brick and mortar stores that can't afford to use like the regular payment terminals for Visa cards or for debit cards, because they were quite expensive. So we raised like 600,000 euros in a seed round. And then basically burned all the money in 2 years until we found out that basically nobody wanted to pay their coffees with their Bitcoins, which was probably a pretty good idea for them, but not for us. So we built like products to allow people to buy Bitcoins the easy way and had like Bitcoin ATMs and so on. But we ultimately failed with our goal to bring this to brick and mortar stores. And then at the time I was at Pay, I got into Ethereum because we were looking for other routes, how to get away from this Bitcoin, the speculative Bitcoin thingy. And I remember there was this counterparty thing that didn't quite work that well. And then I got into ETH, but in the end, we ran out of money. But at the same time, I got pretty heavy into Ethereum and started mining with my own computer, sitting in the basement, blowing out all the heat, and then basically the story picks up again where what Tim already told. So we reconnected and decided we need to do something together again. Adam.
Yeah, hi. My name is Adam. I'm also fascinated since the early 90s about software engineering. My cousin back then introduced me to Turbo Pascal when I was very young, and I was totally fascinated by how you can solve problems by just some lines of code. Then I made my master's in computer science, started as a consultant. After 2 years, it became a bit boring. Got back to university, started my PhD, canceled it after some months because it was totally theoretically, at least for me, it's nothing what you can deliver to an audience or something like that. And then one of my best decisions in my life came in. So I started at 1&1 and met Shuppy the first time as one of the first members of the new team. And then I was totally hooked by the team spirit and how you can implement software in a good style. And some months later, I met also Colin, which was also part of the first team there. Unfortunately, he left 1&1, which was really sad for us, but nevertheless, some years later, we chatted together and just wanted to know about new job opportunities. And we met in a bar and wanted to talk about maybe next steps, what we can do or what he could do. Maybe there's some job opportunity at 1&1. And I think we talked just 10 minutes about the job opportunity and the complete evening about Ethereum. And there was so much wow effects on my side. So I got totally hooked about the complete blockchain technology, and Ethereum was fascinating. I also love everything about art, also doing some generative art, maybe because I'm left-handed, but I don't know if that's the reason. But basically, I love everything what is really beautiful. I started from user experience or ending at just painting some nice arts and so on. Maybe that's also the reason why some people also call me a minister of propaganda. I think the term was coined at 1&1 when I was just doing a lot of some kind of marketing stuff at the company to promote our team and our stuff we are building there. Yeah. And I have really much fun with implementing lots of side projects or pet projects in the end. Starting or doing just research, testing out new frameworks, technology. Yeah, I had my first experience with Solidity by implementing this Sharo thingy. End of last year, I also wanted to get back to the stuff, so I implemented some kind of Gumroad clone based on Ethereum contracts and so on. And that's also a good thing about Maker Delegates. So this is, maybe you have read already the forum post I've written there. There was this Maker Delegates initiative that started some weeks ago, and Shubi pushed the idea to us. And we just started to think about it, how we can implement it. It was a totally on the side because we have a full-time job, but in our free time, we could just think about it, learn about the data sources, just learn about the chief contracts and so on, how we can get our information and data to collect everything, to present it to an audience that could be interesting for you. And the most fun is about to quickly develop and deploy those products to an audience, to get quickly feedback and have really small iterations about it. And I think I love this kind of implementing a product where you get very quickly feedback and have short iterations. Loving it. Yeah, and I think now it's a time to show you or talk about our first product we want to tackle with MakerLabs.
Yeah, so it's probably not a big surprise that it's Euroday, that this is the first product we would like to work on. I mean, we are all from Europe, and we love the idea of having a non-volatile asset, something like DAI, but not based on the USD, but instead on Euro. Sebastian and me have been thinking about Euroday for, I don't know, a couple of months already. And he basically lured me into, hey, why do you just try to pitch it and do it? And yeah, so this is going to be the first one we would like to take on. We don't have a perfectly laid out plan like you would expect from somebody from Germany. So basically what's going to happen if this proposal is passing, we need to quit our jobs, and we would take the next 2 months basically to, yes, still working for Camunda where we are right now, quitting the job, trying to not leave a lot of mess, or not too much mess at least, and basically setting up the legal entity that basically gets this magical internet money to, yeah, basically hire us ourselves into this company. So effectively we would start working and being on the payroll as well in January, kicking off Euroday. And well, the first two obvious building blocks for Udai would be to basically take the vanilla contracts that protocol engineering already has on the mainnet for the USD-based DAI, bring them to Goerli, try not to modify them as much because, I mean, they are audited, they are diamond hardened. This is not something we aim for. So we would probably just take what we have there right now, deploy it, and as well also build a new customer-facing front end. Something like Oasis probably, but yeah, yeah, it's you might argue that is it really necessary to have something like this? But it would give us the additional benefit of starting from scratch, and also would help us to also learn about the whole contract ecosystem, which we do have a theoretical background on. It's not that we haven't do some research, but it's not the same as if really starting from scratch. So that would be basically the timeline for the next months. And as soon as we have the two building blocks, we'll basically quickly iterate on it. Yeah, in a probably different manner that you would expect from somebody who is doing like the protocol engineering team. We are totally different in this perspective. But as long as we're not on mainnet, I think we can do whatever we want to it, basically. Yeah, and we would quickly iterate. That's our plan. And yeah, basically as soon as everybody, so us including the Maker community, is thinking that it's good enough to release it to mainnet, then we would just do it. Yeah, so that's the well laid out plan, German style or not German style, that we have so far. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, I mean, there wasn't that much of discussion in the forum about the MIP bundle we proposed a couple of weeks ago. So maybe now's the right time to talk about this. So I'm going to stop sharing now and look what's happening.
Nice. Thank you very much, guys. Are there any questions?
Yeah, hi. From a really pragmatic perspective, I just heard from you and 3 team members that you intend to quit your current job to become this MVP unit for Maker. The concern is that I don't see a roadmap beyond 3 months, and the demonstrable value of the unit is still not demonstrated, right? And so I would have concern in that you would come in, quit your jobs, deliver Euroday, but you don't intend to take it forward, and that potentially you could be left in a position where the DAO determines that the unit isn't bringing the value and cost to the table, and you could be in a position that maybe you don't want to be in. So I just wanted to bring that forward, that it is important to understand and to demonstrate the value in advance of burning the ship, right? You don't burn the ship before it's too close to shore. And so I just wanted to bring that forward, because I saw a 1/4 roadmap, and the cost, is significant, right?
Yeah. So first of all, we're pretty much aware of this issue. So there is a risk that nobody thinks that this works out, and at some point just closes the core unit. That's a risk we are aware of. The other point about roadmap, I might be a maxi on this topic, but I don't believe in roadmaps anyway. So what I think is important is to be transparent about the progress you're making and the risk you're taking and the roadblocks you have in front of you. And if at some point Maker governance or the community or whoever is in favor of shutting us down, then that's the path we need to take, and then we shut us down.
That sounds like a way of doing it. Any other questions?
Maybe I can add to this. So I mean, we're not a Euroday core unit, so we specifically thought about it to build like a Euroday core unit, but then we were in the position what comes after Euroday, and we thought long and hard about it, and we said to us, the one thing we want to do is basically building new products and validating them. And so the whole promise of this core unit is not to build like Euroday, but to build products and build MVPs and test them to market. So the end of Euroday is not the end of MakerLabs. So so if we see like an end coming to Euroday, either way it succeeds, and some other team is taking it over to bring it to production or to maintain it or whatever, or we find out that nobody wants Euroday, yeah, then we go to the community and ask what are the next big pictures you think about but never actually tested. So if the community decides to do some other product, or some people say they want some other product, then I guess we're the core unit that that tests out this stuff if the market is actually wanting this, and yeah, putting their money where their mouth is, or if it's not needed. So it's not about the so we don't see ourselves in a position to lay out the complete roadmap for like the next 10 years, because I always feel like in a big community that's quite dynamic, and I think that's a good thing. Yeah, so we basically build we test whatever product the Maker community wants us to test. If this answers the question.
Yeah, it definitely does a little bit. So what is the life cycle of Euroday? You know, I'm not fully aware of it. So you would take it, you'd run it, you'd get it operational, and then where does it go? Who maintains it, right? PE is already you know, quite backlogged. So I just want to understand. You know, one of the issues right now with Maker is that the core unit is the only structure. And what I heard from you is in some ways it's almost like, you know, it would be analogous to having being a third-party service provider and then basically putting a proposal or a statement of work for each product forward and then letting Maker basically, you know, sign off on the projects and fund them. But we don't have that structure, right? So the core unit is the only, the most effective structure right now. And so it's the question is two parts, right? What happens to the products after? Who's going to maintain them? Because we don't have that technical talent. So let's say at month 4, nobody's willing to take it on. Are you going to still operate Euroday, right? Are you willing to do that and to commit to that? And then, you know, again, the same question holds for doing these MVP and testing, right? Because I think in some ways we need people that are going to own the projects end to end. Otherwise, we end up in a position where there's nobody to take it over. And we end up with a bunch of underdeveloped products, basically.
Yeah, so maybe it's naive, but I guess that, well, let's assume that Euroday works out and it gets product market fit approved, and we see that it works good, that we have, I don't know, whatever number of Euroday minted within, I don't know, half a year or something like this. Either there's somebody saying, I want to participate in this and even taking the lead on this, or we have other core units like, I don't know, growth or reward assets who basically start contributing to the Euroday mission. I mean, the whole Euroday thing is a driver for reward assets as well. Or if nobody is there who wants to pick it up, then we're gonna maintain it as long as needed. I mean, we do have a very selfish interest in having Euroday as a currency, as a euro-based currency on Ethereum. But this is really a happy problem. I think the chances of this not working out are very high. So it's better to think about, okay, what do we do if Euroday fails? And this is basically what Colin says. So if you find out that we don't have product market fit, then we need just a different product to work on and do the whole idea to MVP thing. And if there's nothing, then please tear us down. Yeah, but yeah, this is the risk I personally am willing to do.
Thanks.
Perfect. Thank you, Iskaten, for the questions, and Tim and Colin for the answers. I don't know, Frank, Pros, any questions from you?
Yeah. Yeah. So is it fair to say that MakerLabs, this core unit, possible core unit, when it comes to prototypes, right? You guys can create a prototype, but you can't maintain it. Is that correct? So I guess what I'm saying is, if you do create the next prototype besides Euroday, this is something that someone like PE is going to have to take over. Correct me if I'm wrong, but also, would it be possible for you guys, and I don't know what kind of experience you have, to also work with someone like Starknet, which is a core unit that's coming up? And how do you see the role of MakerLabs in something in, you know, when it comes to the development of CK rollups, things of that nature, layer 2s? Do you guys have any experience in that? And can you build a prototype for that? And again, are you just going to build the prototype and let someone else maintain it? Or, you know, what are you thinking there?
Okay, so this is a couple of questions. So first of all, we are able to maintain stuff. I mean, we have been doing this for quite a while, and to be honest, most of the stuff we have been doing is done on the MVP level for, I don't know, a year already. So we are already in maintenance mode. It's not that we cannot do maintenance, it's just not what we want to do and what we are excellent at. We are excellent at prototyping stuff and bringing this to the market and finding out if it works. So probably you need a bunch of different people to help us doing the maintenance stuff, but we can totally do that. It's not that we cannot do it. We just love to bootstrap stuff. And we would like to keep bootstrapping. And if it's needed that it needs to be transferred to someone else, and for sure it's not going to be protocol engineering. I'm absolutely sure protocol engineering is totally not interested in taking the burden of maintaining a second stack. And I think it would be a waste of energy as well with all those brilliant people over there. But we are thinking, or we are right now a bunch of people, like, I don't know, less than 100 people participating. This is not where MakerDAO is going to be in a year, I hope. This is not why I'm here. We are going to grow. We are going to decentralize a lot more than we are right now. This at least my bet on this topic. Yeah, when it comes to collaboration, I mean, of course, at some point we need to think about how we deal with oracles, for example. But we are not going to request from the oracles core unit that they build some kind of Euro-based oracle set that we are going to use. We need to work with something different first. So being as autonomous as possible right now. And this is going to evolve over time, for sure. I don't know if I covered all the questions you had, but so CK stuff, I have no idea about this. I'm really interested in learning about this, but this is probably not the best case for showing that we have potential. And I think we have to show that we do something with value right now. So Euroday would be something that we think we can master. Doing CK snark, whatever stuff, maybe Colin can, but I cannot.
Yeah, maybe not to the CK snarks, but maybe I can add to this. So first of the maintenance of Euroday, for me, it's always like a certain threshold that needs to be met to actually say we have product market fit. So if we're in a region where like some people are using it and other people are not using it, I always feel that we then need the courage to tear it down anyway. I mean, it's with all the startups. If you have like a couple of users, then you really need courage to say you didn't really reach product market fit.
Hey there.
But if we reach like product market fit by a pretty big margin, I guess there will be a path in the Maker community to carve out a new unit that takes care of this. So if we have like a pretty huge potential there and a lot of people using it and a lot of money in the Euroday contract, I can't see that there won't be an opportunity for like a dedicated operations team for Euroday. Because then Maker is basically making money with this, and at least from a traditional company perspective, then you basically have the money to invest in the operations. Second, to the collaboration about CK snarks and all this stuff. I mean, from my perspective, I think our biggest benefit is that we can own stuff full stack, and that has a big potential that we can basically move by our own timeline, and we can test all aspects. So if we ask us if we could do some CK snark smart contracts or so on, that's not really. I mean, that's not on the mission side, at least for me, for MakerLabs, because it's not like the full stack product that we can implement and ultimately test to the market. Then we're just contributing to something, but it's not like in our hands to move timeline, go to market, and test the stuff we want to test. So, I mean, I'm not opposed to supporting other teams with products, or maybe helping them with the experience we have about MVPs and how to go to product market fit. But yeah, I mean, it just looks easier to me to have this like in one tactical team to tackle these issues.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question. This has to do with the minimum viable product, MVP. How minimal is it? Is it so minimal that only devs can play with it, or will it, include graphical user interfaces and everything so that the wider community can interact with it?
Yeah, I mean, so at least for me, I mean, these words like MVP or POC, they're used sometimes identically. But for me, like what you said, something that only devs can use. For me, that's like more a proof of concept. So you prove like it's technically possible. But at least for me, an MVP is actually something that the end users use, because it should be the minimal viable product for the end user and not for some devs and so on. Because we can't really test like product market fit with developers, because developers, they can handle a lot of issues with usability and so on. But that's the whole thing. So the whole technical step below the user interface is nice to have, and it's nice to approve this with a proof of concept. But ultimately, where you see users leave your product or not use your product is basically the UI and the user experience. So I see an MVP not like shallow or broad on the deep level, on a technical level, but like a really really sharp tower that goes from the technical basis up to the UI. And this should be as polished as possible, but it should only support like a minimal viable use case, and then we can test this one. So I really want to have a really polished user experience that anybody can use, and only then it makes sense to talk about a minimal viable product.
Well, for me, it's also depending totally on the audience we are targeting, because if a product targets just developers, maybe they are totally fine with just a CLI, and that's totally fine for them. But if we're talking, for example, like a wallet that end users should use, there should be a polished UI that you have to use there. And that is also part of the MVP in the end.
Yes, preferably. Okay, thank you. Second question. Let's say that let's say that the minimal viable product is working. And sorry, 1 moment.
Maybe we should let somebody else go.
All right.
I was wondering.
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry. Sorry, I'm back. Yes, second question. This let's say that the minimum viable product is not working. Oh no, is working, but that nobody picks up on it in the maker organization afterwards. Would it be possible to use bug bounties to harden the product for for scaling it, let's say beyond the first handful of million Euroday?
Sorry, use what? I didn't got it.
Use bug bounties, paying people to try to hack it.
Sure, why not?
I mean, in the end, isn't it a really big bug bounty by itself?
Well, we're just trying to find the bugs before it becomes really big. So, but okay, yeah.
I mean, it needs to be big enough to attract the real hackers, right? So if there is not enough value in there, nobody is going to hack it. Everybody's going to wait until there is enough value in it. That's at least how I would do it if I would be able to do that.
Yeah, possibly. All right, thank you. I don't have any more questions.
So regarding to this, maybe that's something we wrote in the proposal, or I think in the forum thread. So I think we should define like maximum exposure that we're willing to take on the production net, on the mainnet. So we can say, so at most, so if everything fails, people are losing only this amount of money. So we shouldn't let it grow like like it can grow. So but limit it until we get like audits for it or whatever, diamond harden it. What Tim said.
I have a question regarding the other projects you've been involved with. What is the longest projects you have been involved with?
So the longest project I was involved with was actually at the consulting company. It was 3 years. I was working for this German Football Association, and I basically built Fußball.de. This is like the biggest German football site to organize all the amateur footballs. So we managed like 80,000 games per weekend and all this stuff. It wasn't the best job I had, but it was challenging.
Yeah, but these days, 3 years is quite a lot. So, all right, thank you.
I mean, the longest project I've been involved was, I think, 2 or 3 years at 1&1, but it's still running. So I'm just not be part of it anymore because, yeah, the hard problems were solved. So I made a move and moved somewhere else, going for bootstrapping again. So I don't know. I hope that we don't need years for Euroday to get to MVP, to be honest. I don't have that attention span. No, I don't.
Regarding the Euroday, actually, I think you mentioned something about doing like a legal research to see if it was feasible and whatnot. So my question would be, let's say that it's not for any given reason, or that there will be too much risk involved for U3, for example, or for the DAO in general. So let's say that it's not feasible. Do you guys have like a plan B to work on, or is it something that you would see down the line?
Well, actually, I don't believe that there is a real legal problem. But if there would be, then it would be have the same effect as MVP is. Is just not having any product market fit. So the same effect. We would stop it hopefully sooner than later and pick up something else.
I mean, it's not that we don't have ideas, but at least I don't believe in engineering coming up with ideas. I've seen that at a lot of companies where just the engineering teams were like spinning off new projects that nobody really used. So I'd rather have like the community find ideas or like us to put through ideas. But yeah, I mean, at the same time, like Euroday, we're talking about this maker intelligence agency. So like, a software stack for the maker community and everybody involved to like get a deep dive on the information on what's actually happening on the chain and so on. But yeah, I mean, that's like from engineering perspective. I don't know if anybody would want this.
I think there's already a core unit in the making that is doing something like the Maker Intelligence Agency we were thinking of right now. Okay. I think it's even the October cycle, but I haven't had a look yet.
Too bad.
I guess I had a quick question in terms of how you might be sourcing like community input. For instance, like are you looking to get suggestions or ask from core units, or is this just something that's going to be more forum / call based? Curious to hear if you thought about that a little bit.
Yeah, I think we can be pretty lucky that we have a pretty good user base in the forum, actually. So we have real users and stakeholders there. We do have delegates who have a say. We do have already very smart people in the core units and as facilitators. So I think there are, I guess SES has a program or even has a list of topics that should be relevant, and maybe somebody should work on it. And it's just the lack of manpower to work on it. So I'm actually not afraid of having nothing to work on. That's not on the list of problems I'm having. But I mean, it's the same way as, well, we had this question, what is the roadmap beyond 3 months? And my answer was be transparent about what you do and what your progress is. And you can apply exactly the same mechanism to also get feedback from the community about what should be the next thing to work on. So I think that's That's actually not hard. I think we had a pretty good situation there already. I mean, not we as MakerLabs, but we as a maker community. I think we have a pretty vivid community with very different characters, which is sometimes hard, but I think it's on the long run, it's a good thing that we are pretty diverse.
Hey, this is Rojo, and I just wanted Tim, or someone on the team, want to ask you guys a question. So the way I understand it is that the first project that you guys will be working on is Euroday. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, and then as you move along, you're going to assess whether or not that's a viable product based upon a variety of factors that obviously inputs from the community, your team, and others. And if you decide that that's not a project that you want to move forward, is what I'm hearing is that you're then willing to take direct input and feedback from the community to be able to work on whatever the next thing is the community deems necessary for the protocols. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, for sure, we're not slaves here, right? So at some point, it could also be the case that we just don't like the path forward. But yeah, I mean,
exactly.
Yes, but that is, it's not that we are some kind of kingdom making decisions on our own for all the stuff for the next, I don't know, 20 years. No, this is not, well, nobody is going to support this. I'm not going to support this as an MKR stakeholder.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of organizations I've been involved with, there's been like a labs like you propose, or some sort of incubator or skunkworks that happens inside of the organization. And the projects that they work on, a lot of times that's dictated by other factors besides the community. And I just wanted to ensure is that there could be work that rolls your way that the community deems is very important, that you guys go, well, I don't really feel that that's something that I want to do. And so, because I heard there was a number of comments about like, hey, how you guys like the bootstrap stuff, and I really appreciate that, because I think the innovation is really needed in the protocol. At the same time, sometimes there's work that you do that you don't really like to do, but it's also necessary to do. So yeah, I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. And again, yes, it's not like we're just going to throw you work and say, hey, you have to work on this, and you don't have any input into it. That's not what I'm suggesting at all. So
yeah, well, I mean, in this case, we would just quit, right? So we would tear down and say, no, we are not going to do that. I think, well, the main point, I think Colin already made it. It's the pattern of engineers coming up with things and then just build it without this thing really being something needed. This is something that we totally avoid and that we hate, and that we already experienced in the last 20 years a couple of times. So it's not about us coming up with stupid things and insist on working on that. There needs to be a need, or yeah, at least some buy-in. And of course, we need buy-in as well. If we are not committed to the mission, we cannot deliver on it. So there needs to be some kind of balance in the end.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks. That makes sense.
So coming back to the mission of MakerLabs is, so we want to bootstrap like new products and test MVPs. And I mean, me personally, I get the enjoyment to test out products. I don't really care about what kind of product. Yeah, it should be ethical, but I really want to build like and test out new stuff for users, and I really want to see the users holding the new products in their hands and then testing out the stuff. So as long as a project falls into this category that we have like autonomy across the whole stack and we're allowed to test it with actual users, then I can't really imagine anything that wouldn't fit me.
Thanks, guys.
Nice. Thank you, Rojo. Does anyone else have any other question? I've followed Tim's maker path quite closely for the last year, so I think I'm a bit biased here. So yeah, I cannot come up with a bunch of good questions because of that.
I was going to have a question, but it was more or less the same as Roger's. Just sort of like, if the maker community decides that, or thinks that we should be working on some other cool, new, awesome project rather than like Euroday, would you guys consider moving to that? I guess at least, not obviously saying you definitely would or definitely wouldn't.
Unmute yourself, Colin.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, so if the community decides, so if we're not, if Euroday fails or whatever, we don't really get product market fit, then absolutely. I mean, everything that the community comes up with that sounds sensible. I mean, we shouldn't build it if like one very vocal person in the community says that he wants to have this, but if there are some people that agree together that this should be a product and we should test it out, then absolutely we're the core unit to build it.
So maybe we should just clarify a little bit. So I'm imagining a hypothetical scenario where the DAO decides suddenly that we're going in a whole new direction. And if Euroday does not fit into that direction for whatever reason, I guess even before like product market fit has been proved for Euroday, like would you consider moving to something else if it was something you were aligned with, right? I guess.
For me, absolutely. I don't know about the other two guys, but I'm not married to Udai. I'm married to building MVPs and testing product market fit.
Yeah, that's why I asked Colin to unmute, because he would give an answer that would make sense for you. So I'm also not married to Euroday, but I would at least try it, please, and not ditch the idea 6 weeks later. Yeah, and I mean, it was part of the original motivation of Maker, not only to have something USD based. I mean, I think it's totally reasonable that we don't have it yet, and we have tons of other problems to solve. All fine, yada yada yada. But I would like to do that. I would like to do Euroday, and I would rather cross the bridge once we get there. If the community really wants to either shut us down or give us something else, then I'm going to make up my mind. But I'm not saying yes. I'm ready to ditch it next week, just because I don't know, we have a black hole on the horizon or something like this.
Yeah, thanks. I think I understand. And yeah, I can agree with that point of view, right? Like I know it's something we've been talking about for ages, right? And something a lot of people want to see. So
Yes, I guess, what would you say to, how would you answer an opponent, not proponent, of someone that would say, you know, MakerDAO is more in need of maintenance and quality products versus prototypes? And I'm coming back to prototypes again, sorry about that. And the reason why is because, you know, we need teams, core units that can make things from the start to go live, right? And to be able to pivot. So what would your answer be to someone who's an opponent to that?
So first of all, I think we are proposing to do exactly this, building basically an MVP core unit. And if people think we shouldn't have that, then please don't vote in favor of us, but instead just don't accept it. That would make a lot of things easier. I wouldn't have to think about how would be my life next year without being in an uncancelled job that I can have for the next, I don't know how much, 30 years, no, not 30, 20 years until I retire. So that would help me a lot. So if people just don't like the idea, please, let's just not make this happen. But on the other hand, I think we have a lot of people out there that can do whatever we need to do. So it's not that we are bound to, we can only hire 10 people this year. So we have to be very selective about what kind of people we hire for what kind of jobs we want to have. We are limited by the number of people applying right now, not by the amount of money we can spend. So I wouldn't say that, I would just say, sorry, but this is not a problem. It's not a problem that we should go for quality, because we can go for quality. It's not contradicting to the mission we are proposing.
Roger that. And when it comes to product market fit, right? How does your team plan on, besides the community giving you feedback, and, you know, I might say something crazy like, hey, how about a Udai sports betting app? Because I love sports. But how do you get product market fit for different regions of the world, right? Like I'm thinking like South America has a different view on financial freedom versus Germany, and nothing against you guys. But so I think you get my idea of my question here. How do you guys get like a vision of what product market fit DAI can play well in the sandbox?
I don't have a clear answer on that yet. I think that's something we need to find out together with the community. What are the thresholds? Colin, I think, mentioned already. What are the thresholds? What are the metrics we want to observe? And what is basically the goal we want to achieve? And if we met it, that's great. And if we don't, well, then maybe it's just not a good idea. And I doubt that Euroday is appealing for somebody in, I don't know, Brazil, for example. They don't care if it's USD based or Euro based. I do care. And the Euro market is substantial. It's not that we are asking for, I don't know, let's get the New Zealand dollar on chain. That's probably something that doesn't sound right now. Maybe in 5 years that's different, but right now I guess my guess is that a euro-based stablecoin on the Ethereum blockchain would be a big game changer for people in the Eurozone. Because honestly, I don't like the idea of being tied to a USD-based DAI. It's good enough, and there's nothing else I can do right now besides trying to change the world. And this is what I try to find out, if this is actually something other people would like to have as well.
Got it. And so I guess like MakerLabs is more designed for someone who's looking for the value proposition versus the growth proposition, right? Am I understanding that correctly? Sorry,
No idea.
sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. I was just wondering. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate the answers.
Nice. We're almost at the top of the hour, guys. I don't know if there are any last questions. I don't think you had a slide about this, Tim, but what's the best way to contact you for anyone watching this later?
I think the forum is fine. I'm there every day. So forum, just a direct message on the forum will appear on my smartphone in a minute. Yeah, but I'm on Twitter and GitHub and whatnot. I'm not on Facebook, but yeah.
Nice. So a pull request to Tim and he will.
Pull request is great. Yeah.
Sounds good. Anything else that that you or, well, Adam or Colin would like to say before closing the call?
Back to this growth thing, Frank, you had. I mean, how to measure success, basically. I mean, you said something, we're getting feedback from the community and so on. I mean, for me, ultimately, it's basically usage. So we should find out how many people are using our product. And I mean, we have the benefit, we're working with a product where people put money in. So it's not like we're offering a free product, but we can actually measure how much money people are putting in our product. And I think that should be like the key metric. So how much money is in our product. And then it's up to the community to decide on a threshold to say, if we reach this amount of money, then we consider this a success, or else we consider it a failure. But I guess, so the metric could be pretty simple.
Any other last comments, Tim or Adam?
Well, maybe if you don't like the idea, please don't abstain. Just say no. That would be great. Thank you.
I think they're looking at you, Planet X.
Yeah.
All right. So again, thanks everyone for coming. It was great having you. And let's keep the discussions going at well, forum.makerdao.com. I'll see you everyone around. Have a nice one.
Thank you.